Do you work for someone else and you make minimum wage? Are you satisfied? Are you happy? Is it enough to take care of your monthly expenses? If your answer to that question is no, then why are you still there? Let me tell you this. It is understood that sometimes we find ourselves in what some refer to as a dead end job. A job that doesn't respect you, doesn't respect your real value and your contributions to that job, and you're more or less just simply a body, especially in a factory type of job, a service job where you don't have any real technical skills, someone who stocks at a store, unloads and loads trucks and pallets, someone who works uh, as a cashier in a restaurant or in a grocery store or retail store establishment and so forth. Someone who even just simply is working in a housekeeping job where you're emptying trash cans and filling the cans back up with liners and cleaning bathrooms and office rooms and so forth. Do you feel undeserved? Do you feel underserved as an employee of a company? Well, welcome to the club. There are innumerable people across America that share the same sentiment. I have been in the work field for many, many, many years. I started working when I was a child, and to this very day, I'm still working. And we feel that sometimes we go unnoticed. No one cares. Even if we put our best foot forward, we give our utmost on a job, it still seems as though we don't get the appreciation that we deserve. Not that we should necessarily be looking for something in particular, but you would think that just based on principle. I've been working here 5 or 10 years and I haven't had a raise in 3 years. No one has ever commented about how good of a job I've been doing. No one has ever said, well, we're going to give you an extra vacation day or a day off with pay. No one has ever said, hey, we understand that your loved one passed away. We're going to give you a couple extra days with pay, you know, for bereavement or what have you. No one has ever said, well, since you have 6 children at home, we're going to give you a couple of extra hours every week, you know, to help you make ends meet. No one said that we're going to give you a semi-annual raise just because of the service that you have provided this company. Do these sound like familiar statements? Maybe unfamiliar because you never really ever hear them at every job. Are we living in a new age where the employees don't matter anymore? You know, 30, 40 years ago, there was a gold watch after 20, 30 years of service on the job. There was, depending on the type of job, maybe even a car, especially if you worked for the cosmetic company called Mary Kay. They used to give out pink Cadillacs for service, or maybe even Avon during those same years. You would get certain benefits. Some companies would give you $1,000 raise for Christmas every year because you were a stellar performer. but not today. Now let's get to the crux of the matter about minimum wage again. Are you locked into a job where you don't have enough income to provide for yourself? And if you have a family, your family. Are you that individual that may even have to work two jobs and you're always tired? You never have time to spend with your children or even your grandchildren or even with your spouse because you're always working. Barely get enough time for yourself, enough time to think, enough time to rest properly. And then you have health issues as a result: hypertension, heart problems. You've gained weight because you can't eat appropriately because you're eating snacks while you're at the job and you can't fill or fix a conventional meal at home, not only for yourself, but minimally for your children and your family. Do you find that this is you? So what are you going to do about it? Do you feel so obligated to this job that you've had 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years that you can't let go just because of the time that you've already invested there? How foolish of you. It's never too late to think about you. It's never too late to think about your future and to act upon it. You're never too old to pursue your passions and your dreams. If you want it bad enough and it's here, then go get it. It belongs to you. And no one has a right to take it away from you. Let me tell you this. I have been a self-employed businessman for many years now. It's a struggle every single day. I burn midnight oil all of the time. Thinking, planning, plotting, trying to make my business better, trying to serve my customers better, trying to provide the proper services for my customers. There's simply not enough time in the day. I know. Sometimes people say, well, why don't you get a team of people to help you or assist you to do this and that? Well, I'm purely from the old school. No one can really do some things, certain things, the way that you can do them, or as good as you can do it when you are the person in charge. It's hard letting go those reins and turning them over to someone else who does not have the same passion for your company or your business that you do. It's really that simple. It's cut and dry. And I'm not the first. The man who created the Kroger grocery store chain, he was the same way. Sam Walton, who created Walmart, he was the same way. Whoever created Grater's Ice Cream, they were the same way. Skyline Chili, Procter & Gamble, General Electric. It all started with one individual at first who carried the load on his or her shoulders. They didn't do it because they didn't trust anyone at the time to do it. They did it alone because they had the passion and the vision alone. And it was not, in most instances, until many years down the road of that company developing that they could feel free to let go some of their control and share some of that responsibility. So, again, I want to tell you something. And that something is simply this. Don't live your life in misery and despair and anguish because you have not accomplished the things that were in your heart to accomplish. I say this again, and I've said it many times before. We only have one shot at this thing called life. Don't you think, don't you believe that you deserve the best, the very best? Don't you? I believe that you do. You see, some of us are afraid of failing. There's nothing wrong with having failure. You see, it is through failure that we become stronger. If everything in your life went well, if everything in your life was always a hit out the park, you could truly never appreciate your business or your job because you wouldn't know what it feels like to suffer. You see, suffering and pain and anguish and failure are the very ingredients that make us strong and make us better. Better human beings, better men, better women. You've got to fall down and realize what your mistake was in order for you to get up and reflect on that mistake or that failure and say, you won't find me there anymore. I'm going to continue on, and this is the different path that I'm going to take to achieve that same goal. You don't just simply fall down and say, well, I'm going to stay here and not get up. That truly would be a failure. Success, my friends, is the very thought process of wanting to achieve an end goal. That's success already. It emanates from here, your heart, and it is manifested in your actions. You have to believe that you're going to succeed in whatever it is that you set your hand to do. You've got to believe it. It is visualized first, then it's actualized while you're heading towards that direction, physically and mentally, with purpose. And it becomes manifest at some point. Then you'll stop and you will have one of those moments and say, wow, I thank the Creator. I thank the universe for all of those mistakes that I made. Because I could have never truly realized the glory and success had I not bumped my head, had I not fallen down, had I not had those failures and those stumbling blocks and those obstacles. Now I can teach future generations about how I made it and how they can also make it in their own field of choice, their own endeavors, their own passions can be realized. But if I never had the hard times, I would have no stories to tell because everything would have been easy. Life is not easy. It was never intended to be easy. It was always intended to be a struggle. You see, again, through struggle, through much struggle, through much suffering, through making mistakes and falling down, we find out who we really are. And the most important thing at the end of the day is that we're standing in the end. This is Brother Teacher. What is your passion? What is your dream? What are you desiring today? What are you aspiring to be? It's your dream. It's your hope. You deserve it and it belongs to you. Why don't you go get it now? That was all I had to say. So if you, again, are that individual that's working on that undeserving, unappreciated job, that minimum wage job, and you seem to be in a rut and you can't take care of all of those necessary obligations and you need more money, you need something better, You need something more. If that is you who I'm talking to right now, who's listening to me, take a step. All you have to do is take the first step. You will be surprised where that first step will lead you. But you must first believe in you. That was it. And that was all. I love you. And Yahweh love you. So long.